Cody Rhodes is all set up where he left off at WrestleMania 41, and everyone expects him to regain the WWE Championship on his comeback road. Considering the fact that a now evil John Cena has less than 5 months left before calling it a career in December, as has always been advertised, you probably want to have Cody Rhodes back on top. But do you want to do it in a way we've seen before? Maybe that's a hard pass. Always got to keep them guessing, right? It isn't that we're going to see bad reactions if Cody Rhodes faces John Cena and gets a fairly straightforward win over the villainous John. That can happen. That can still be cool. Yeah, except the internet always has a problem with something just being the way they expect. Predictability is so awful and I don't want to see it, even though it's the thing you are rooting for at the same time. Yeah. The problem is, WWE fans nowadays simply always want a different curveball, something that breaks the formula but still gets us to an exciting end. The alternative route where they could go could have twists and turns, giving some sense of satisfaction, as John Cena's heel run hasn't really been as exciting as many would have anticipated from the get-go. The start was great, but everything after that has only been really just a handful of a few moments that were pretty solid. So let that end, and this is us pitching the curveball, a Cody Rhodes heel turn at SummerSlam 2025, and why maybe it needs to be a double turn. This is Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm Kevin Kellum. Do you want to see Cody Rhodes turn heel? Let us know in the comments below and watch the whole video. Come on, you got the engine. You can do it. Yeah, hit the like button and subscribe to Sportskeeda Wrestling for more content just like this. Cody Rhodes is in a really good place right now. He's the face of the WWE. He's quarterback number one. He's the guy, all of the above. The issue is, this isn't the 1990s anymore. It isn't the 2000s. It's not the 2010s either. History has proven over decades that it doesn't matter how big you are, how loved you are, how good of a spot you're in. At some point, fans change. They get fickle, and their fantasy booking must be fulfilled. No one wants to see their heroes grow into a stagnant spot, and we're not saying that Cody Rhodes is there, but let's avoid it, right? That is the entire premise of why many fans, many male fans of a certain age, not the women, not the children, got sick of John Cena during his unprecedented 10 years at the top of WWE as the franchise player back in the day. There was virtually no change in character, maybe some edge here and there, maybe some twists and turns along the way, but WWE, and then boss of WWE, really Mr. McMahon, tried to pull the same thing with Roman Reigns as the on-a-pedestal hero that eventually had to pivot into the tribal chief and aha, I told you so moment from hardcore fans who said, you should have listened to us all the way and made him Darth Vader bad guy thing. Yeah, we get it. Cody Rhodes turning heel does not come with obvious risks. We get it. It could upset a lot of people who are die hard for the American Nightmare right now. And we know that, but we're really just exploring the idea. So maybe don't take this as it's gonna happen, it has to happen. We're just thinking, maybe if it did, it could be pretty cool. We know there will always be room for the Superman type hero who never turns into a villain. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, for example, never became a heel. A hero for the kids. But in the mid-2020s that we're in, a little more depth may be needed. That isn't to say that a babyface can't have depth either. But since WWE is technically targeting that younger Gen Z audience, young adulthood, they're turning into adults, you need a character that meets those requirements: depth, nuance, imperfection, and some darkness, a little bit of the edge. Cody Rhodes being the good guy with a really beating heart of passion to rile up the fans of all generations since 2022 has worked for the last 3 years. Whether you want to admit it or not, the ending of WrestleMania 40 is one of the best endings of a WrestleMania of all time. We're not faulting WWE or Rhodes for moving in that direction because it led to a huge period of success for WWE over 2023 and 2024. Cody Rhodes is only one piece of the entire puzzle though, and when looking at things zoomed out, you can see how important he truly is. When WWE has the boldness to make a pivot in a character with a superstar name like Cody Rhodes, it shows fans of encouragement that WWE is willing and open to make changes that don't necessarily follow a comfortable formula. John Cena turning heel is not a comfortable formula. Still, when WWE decided to turn Cena into a villain at Elimination Chamber, it did make complete complete sense, maybe at the time. Cody was in the thick of an incredible run as the hero of the people, and his predecessor turning into a bad guy who simply couldn't cut it anymore and needed to shortcome his previously stated ethics in his final run was an interesting choice. A great choice, but maybe not the execution that followed it was everything we anticipated. Like we said, we have no doubt that WWE taking a straightforward route with Cody Rhodes winning the title back in the shadow of New York City at SummerSlam is a solid good route to go and can be an exciting story, if not maybe one of the best stories of the year. But we always want to swerve. Wrestling fans always want something that isn't so simple. They always want something that's just a little bit more than they expect. Maybe it's too simple, too straightforward for some people to take in. Some claim it's lazy storytelling, which is also a glancing look at something and you're probably still just marking out and mad that Roman got his ass kicked back in Philadelphia and you want Cody to somehow get what's coming to him. That's not happening, by the way. There wasn't anything complex in and of itself in the way that Cody came to the top. We saw it coming. It was simply the twists and turns to get him there. The fact that maybe WWE was going to go with Roman versus Rock instead of Cody being the guy, and everybody wanted Cody, and then they got Cody. That was interesting. But over 3 years, you kind of want to throw wrenches into something to see it maybe take a turn you're not expecting. Like I said, you're expecting it, but a little bit more than you're expecting. And the best way to do that would be to have a shocking moment where fans see a turn in Cody Rhodes to a villainous side. Let's address the next question you might have. Once Cody becomes a bad guy, will there actually be a long-term plan in mind, an endgame? Or is WWE going to execute it and maybe wing it the way they did with Cena, as far as we know? There needs to be a concrete plan in place with some adjustments along the way. Will it be with or without the influence of The Rock, who turned Cena heel? Most importantly, there needs to be an actual endgame in mind with other players who benefit from this change. The long-term plan with an evil Cody needs to feature revived or revved up heroes to challenge his turn to the dark side. WWE's new Jedis could probably be someone like maybe a Jacob Fatu, or maybe finally pulling the trigger on LA Knight. Yeah, pull the trigger on him. WWE also has to make drastic changes across the board if they do this and stick with them. How much TKO impacts all of this is yet to be seen in 2025, and that's also something that looms all over this. Now, obviously, we're not completely fantasy booking the entire situation, but hey, let's take a bite at it and see how it could go out. WWE doesn't need to do anything elaborate. They just need to start planting the seeds of a heel turn like they did on the 18th of July episode of SmackDown, where Cody seemed to get a whole lot meaner. Cena got Cody and the fans riled up when he said he was filming a movie for Netflix in New York and he wouldn't be able to physically compete at SummerSlam. He even sounded partially apologetic, clearing the air that it didn't mean Cody wasn't getting a shot, it just meant that he wouldn't get it right now. Cowardly by Cena. Yeah, that's him, running from a fight when his past self was a true fighting champion. Yeah, John Cena is a cowardly wrestling villain in 2025 who runs from a fight. That is something I'm still processing. This whole scene, though, featured a split-screen camera angle, ironically and maybe unintentionally, that proved to be quite a bit of good foreshadowing, or maybe they were doing it the whole time, as you could see the expression on Cody's face change. When Cena once again sleeved his way through the entire scenario of this contract signing, saying that if his name wasn't on it, he wouldn't have to compete at SummerSlam, Cody knew what he had to do. He had to force Cena to sign that contract. To do that, he destroyed him and put him through a table. We aren't sure what the forgery laws are here. Is that a legally binding contract by John Cena? It is pro wrestling. Yeah, they do bend these type of scenarios into something ridiculous and over the top, but it wasn't the move of a Puritan hero that we've seen from Cody in the past. This is one who wants revenge. Also, from the hardcore male-oriented crowd that used to boo Cena, they're now more adults than they were kids cheering for Cena in the past, and they chanted "Thank you, Cena" in San Antonio, and it has become clear, very clear to a lot of people, they just don't want to hate John Cena, especially with the limited time he has left. Cody on the other hand, hasn't said too much since returning at the end of May. This was the most significant expression made by Cody on WWE television outside of a match since then. What if Cena was right, saying he sees through Cody Rhodes and he knows his true colors? Think about it. On that July 18th SmackDown scene, it was the first time Cody used the WWE Championship belt to wallop John Cena, the same belt that he used to cheat his way through the past few months in big-time matches. It's a much bigger storyline moment and tool than you might realize at first glance. We know that Randy Orton, with his tweener ways between good and evil, was willing to be desperate and do anything in the King of the Ring finals, a final tournament match that would determine who would face Cena at SummerSlam. But Cody, who was the victor, didn't hesitate when taking advantage in the end of a certain circumstance that certainly was outside of the formal rules. The part where Cody forced Cena to sign the contract may have confirmed that there's an animal inside the American Nightmare that is not meant to come out, but it is coming out. WWE fans are meant to see exactly why Cody is called the American Nightmare in the first place. A street fight in SummerSlam is the best way to tell the story of a double turn. We've seen them in the past. They are very hard to pull off, but when they do happen, they are iconic if executed well. The most famous example of the double turn in a character, where the villain becomes the hero becomes the villain, is from WrestleMania 13 at the All-State Arena in Chicago, an incredible career-defining match. The first match itself, inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart. If you're an older fan or a younger fan, you need to follow this story. It's a great example. Allow us to indulge the younger audience, though, who may not be that aware of it. Heading into WrestleMania 13 in 1997, the entire WWE Championship picture was in haywire after Shawn Michaels lost his smile and vacated the championship just a few months before WrestleMania. The ramifications were immense, but even before that, in 1996, something interesting was happening. Bret Hart, the Canadian hero, didn't have the same standing he did just a couple years prior. Stone Cold Steve Austin had the new attitude and was on the rise after winning the King of the Ring tournament. They had a match at Survivor Series 1996, but it was the WrestleMania bout that was significant. Hart was the good old-fashioned technical wrestling good guy, but Austin was a trash-talking babyface who wasn't a babyface just yet. The crowd was getting behind him, but through all of the incredible storytelling and execution, and the match being a bloody affair that seemed like it went out of the bounds of what we expected from the Hitman, prior to the match, there was a growing sentiment in favor of Austin, as well as some fatigue towards Bret Hart in just his role, not him as a performer, but the reaction still skewed in the favor of the Hitman. The finishing sequence saw Hart put his iconic sharpshooter on a bloodied Austin, who refused to give up in the submission match scenario. Each passing second, the sentiment quickly began to change. Suddenly, Austin was getting unanimously cheered by the crowd in Chicago. Bret Hart was losing the same fans who adored him for so many years. When Austin passed out, yes, losing the most significant match of his career, Bret Hart went in and attacked him after it was done. The double turn was cemented, but Stone Cold Steve Austin was made as the new face of WWE in the process. Yes, the biggest match of his career is a match he lost. Now, in 2025, WWE has the chance to do something like that on an even grander scale, to completely change the tone of Cena's remaining retirement run, while also setting the stage for an incredibly new era of Cody Rhodes' career. Cody Rhodes is a big Star Wars fan, and he's often been compared to Luke Skywalker in his path in that universe. But as a villain, many are always putting that Homelander tag on him from the Boys series. Obviously, one significant question looming over all of this is, does The Rock need to be involved? The Rock turned John Cena, but we haven't really seen him since. Many expected him at WrestleMania 41 in Las Vegas, and he wasn't there. And maybe him coming back wouldn't work right now. Who knows? It's a big question, maybe something we can dive into in a separate video. But The Rock aside, this could be the biggest moment for Cody Rhodes since that magical night at WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. It suddenly leaves the door for another superstar to take that spot as the top babyface and be the one to chase Cody. John Cena can then return to his status as a beloved hero, once again rediscovering his ethics on the final lap of his retirement tour, and maybe having the best matches he can have after not having the burden of being a heel in his final year in the ring. He deserves to go out with being beloved and go out with a big bang in Boston in December. Now, should this all be done at the expense of Cody Rhodes, who's going to be there for a long time after John Cena? Yes, we know that's a critical question to drop here near the end, but let us know what you think. Does Cody Rhodes need to turn heel now, or is that something they should do after John Cena is out of the picture? Yeah, how does John Cena rediscover his good guy side before he calls it a career? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Sound off. Can Cody Rhodes turn heel? Let us know what you think of this idea and get in the comments below.